The new episode of the Creep Tapes came out titled Wes, and maybe I'm just a shill, but I also really enjoyed this episode, similarly to how much I enjoyed the first episode of this season. And I feel like both of the first two episodes hot out the gate are better than the first two episodes of the Creep Tape Season 1. And I really like those episodes. I rewatch them pretty often. I just rewatched the Elliot one last night. But I think that where some of the episodes in the first Creep Tape season just feel like another kind of run-of-the-mill Creep Tape, they feel like some of the similar things that we saw from the movies. They're not treading really new territory in some capacity. I really feel like these two episodes really tread new ground for the Creep seasons. They feel like very different, and although they do give you all the things that you want as a Creep fan, I think that where these differ is that they put the Creep in situations that he's never been before, that we've never seen before, especially with this episode, and that's what I dig so much about this one. But he actually puts himself in a bit of danger with both episodes, and the first one being that he kind of lets himself get kidnapped by this Creep copycat killer, still knowing that the cards are kind of in his hands. But in this episode, we really get an interesting subversion. It's kind of similar to the way that we get it in the first episode of the season. But in this episode, we actually see the Creep kind of deal with cops and have to use his skills to get out of a bad situation. That generally just seemed like it was kind of hopeless for him. It seemed like he was caught, but he found a way out of it. But kind of, that's skipping ahead a little bit, because really where this episode starts out is it's another Creep Tapes episode where he basically have the Creep pretending to be a home realtor shooting a reality show, which is just a funny concept. But then, of course, he actually catches Wes and kills him very early. And it's kind of like shocking because it feels like, okay, wow, he really got down to business quick. Where does the episode go from here? And this is where it really starts to take off, because you actually get him caught in the middle of driving the body, putting it in the trunk. The cops actually show up. This is another episode where throughout it I was like thinking about how did he get this footage, like according to the, the lore, obviously. These are his tapes from his library. So it's like, how would he get the dash cam? And obviously by the end of it, they answered that. But it was so funny seeing him like pretend to be the victim. It's more the mannerisms of Joseph, I guess. He has a lot of different names like Wolfie and Joseph and stuff. It's just funny to see him manipulate situations and try to find his way out of them. He preys on human emotion. And you've always seen that, but I feel like this version was a specific one where we haven't seen before. He's really trying to convince the cops that it was somebody else and that him and Wes were there together, and that got a good amount of laughs out of me. But trying to convince the cops, though, that he's completely harmless was just one of the great parts of this episode that just, really had me. Really is overall the concept, though, that I think was great. It's another one where they turn the Creep series kind of on its head and do the unexpected. And I like that, because the thing that they need to do is just keep making very original ideas with this series, instead of just having it be like, guy takes videographer job, shows up to Joseph's house, Joseph kills him. And although there's a high degree of different ideas you could do with that, it still eventually gets to be redundant. So throwing in things like this, the copycat killer, it's just a good way to keep reinventing the franchise when they could have very much stayed safe, did the safe ideas, and not just push the series in a way that I think it really deserves to be. But it's just also so nice to see such reinvigorated passion for this series from Patrick Brice and Mark Duplass, because it really does feel like now the ideas are flowing, they're firing on all cylinders, when at one point after Creep 2 came out, we didn't see the Creep for 7 years. And it felt like every update about Creep 3 was kind of bad. It was always just a thing like, oh, we're having a hard time with the idea, we can't pick the right one. Like I said, I think that this series allows for them to try every idea that they scrapped while making Creep 3. And the fact that they don't have to commit to an entire movie just allows them to let these ideas flow. They could make a nice packaged 20-minute movie out of them. I always envisioned Creep 3 as being actually the Creep dealing with another serial killer. So last episode was that. We got that idea. In this episode, we actually got to see the Creep dealing with cops and having to talk his way out of a situation that kind of seemed hopeless, obviously. At least for him. In a weird way, you almost root for him in these episodes, but just like the slow kind of appeal to the cops that he makes, and then eventually him just finding the upper hand and getting away with it. It's just so funny. It's classic creep. Really what this series is about is playing on social dynamics and then striking when you have the upper hand, which I think is just, that's what the series really is about. That's what this killer's modus operandi is. It's that thing where it's a predator that pretends to be prey. And it's just great because this episode really exemplifies that. Obviously, he puts himself in a situation that seems like he's to an extreme degree the underdog, but then he eventually gets to a point where he convinces these cops that he's harmless, and that's where he really thrives. And again, like I said, maybe I'm just a shill, but if the series continues to operate with these ideas, just things that are really unique situations that you wouldn't be able to capture in an entire movie, that's the beauty and the strength of this series. Like I said, they don't have to commit to an idea for an entire movie. They're able to just keep going, keep finding these unique little ways in 20-minute, 30-minute bursts that just keep the fans happy. Like, that's the thing. I see it. I see the way that the fans react. This is red meat to them. And hopefully they just continue to make inspired ideas with these creep tapes. And as long as they do, I'm happy, and I'm very happy with this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.